really need to get those new multicolored space disco boots. That's got to be tough. Oh, hi. If you're getting feelings that seem a little strange, like I've talked about before, where you might walk by a certain area and things might become bright, and for me it was amber. Amber was the original calling color. And things would just kind of turn that color, and you would feel a good feeling, but also a strong feeling that's way beyond you, because you're feeling those spiritual currents. If you're a good person, and you have a strong urge not to be dehumanized by outer sources, and serve others, you have to imagine that spiritual stream, those spirit particles, can be accessed through service to others. And there will be breakthrough moments where you notice that you made progress. Sorry, this is like a 4-minute light here. I like being sitting still when I'm doing these. I like moving. But you'll notice, or at least with me, and I'm pretty sure this is consistent with everyone who's shifting into service to others, due to coming to a point in their incarnation where they've seen the illusion. You've seen through the Maya, and materialism goes, things go. Caring about who you are in relation to ego. It becomes tiring, it stops making sense, and just like you'll have those feelings, again, the DS-controlled mainframe consciousness wants you to think haunting or something scary. No, that's part of the consciousness shroud. If you feel this feeling in a certain area, it's like a lock where the key, service to others, is how you get in to this other level of consciousness, which is flowing right now. These are times of ascension where people are able to fight against this problem of evil and reform this grid. And hospice work, that's the topic of this, the hospice work, or volunteer work in general. If you're having medium abilities where you're starting to see entities and light phenomenon appear, on the ground or in the sky right by you, this is also a sign. And going down to hospice, because in a peaceful world where there is no problem of evil, everyone will have some involvement. It'll be natural. Like every single person in a town would have some automatic duty to volunteer, and there wouldn't be shortages of staff at hospice places. And there would be more of a leniency with employers to help family members when they need help in that situation. But if you want to start taking it to the next level, where you can really start to see your consciousness shift, and if you want to engage in duty during these times, volunteer work at a hospice is the ticket. And then learning to like it. That might sound strange. You're thinking, well, wait a minute, if I'm there, what do you mean? Well, I'm saying you have to really learn to like it. And just like when I had my first meditation break for listening to Ram Dass, like was like 15 years ago or something, where I started weeping. It'll be like that. And again, a color shift. There'll be like a filter, either like a amber, or in that case was more like a golden light. And I think the first breakthrough was when I went down and put on somebody's slippers or something. I mean, I've had a phobia up until that point of that kind of stuff. Like with strangers, or sometimes I don't even like eating food that other people made. I don't know, just one of those things. And to get down on your knees and put on a slipper, and I realized the guy was shaking, and the staff was was understaffed. I don't want to get into that. And I went and found the slippers, and then got down on my knees and put them on. A sock that who knows, how, you didn't go wash your hands, of course, but something happened. I noticed a little bit then when I was driving home, something happened, and I was like, okay, I unlocked more of that spirit energy that makes sure you gravitate and you polarize to peaceful entities, and how we would define peace based on the moral landscape of your planet. Meaning, I hit my head like that, that's objectively bad. Most people wouldn't want to be around people that do things like hitting people in the head. That's a very basic example. Like you don't, like on my city block, someone just doesn't run outside screaming and throw a brick through a random window. There's an order. There's an easiest way to say it is moral landscape. But so this volunteer work, this sacrificing your time, specifically on the weekends, you should do it. On a Saturday or something, to make it a sacrifice. And you have to learn to like it. And I know I'm being repetitious with that, but that's the kind of stuff you have to do to be someone who is constantly connected right now to the other dimension. And there are people around the planet, I'm assuming, other than myself, that have this ability to show proof of the soul. And you don't charge. You don't, if you find out you can do something where you're instantly speaking to another dimension in some form and it's observable, then you do not want to charge anybody anything. Do not act like you know exactly what's going on, because there's always an element of mystery. I'm being very vague with these talks, but once you're connected with positive, peaceful guides, this is also information. There's information enhancements that happen. I don't really want to. I can't really talk about that, but healing also, and that's something I've never asked for. I'm pretty sure I've never directly asked for any problems. I have ailments, like I have a dislocated shoulder issue. It's permanent injury, but there was some healing in early on, and I didn't even ask for it. It was just part of that understanding what I'm dealing with, this is important too. How much time do I have? When things began, I noticed I'm just going to say it, psychic abilities really depended a lot on the moon phases and all that. Now, after this long form initiation is complete, anytime, I'm linked to any time, and it doesn't really depend on. For men, you would be half moon, half moon. And there is always a little bit of a significance with that as well, but when you're past that phase, you just know, and so hospice.